line for both of these teams in this match.
And we are underway in Provo. Number 13 BYU, number 17 Kansas. Billiter with the dig out of the gate. Livingston first swing is off the block, and you can feel the energy from this crowd already.
Probably just getting that first kill, get that first point under the belt allows these teams to relax a little bit. It's going to be interesting. Kansas very good on their home court as well. Both of these teams have talked about how hard it is to play in these packed gyms that have a lot of loud emotion. So we'll see how Kansas comes in.
Michaela Myers, deep corner for the kill to get Kansas on the board. Kansas started in row 4, BYU in row 5. Perfect pass to Bauer. McEwen Lareness off of El Nadi.
Kansas is a team very balanced offensively. They really get the ball to every player on the floor, so this BYU block has got to be disciplined. And also, I think it's going to come down, as it always does, but more importantly, it's a serve and pass battle. If BYU can control the serve from the beginning, as they've done in a lot of matches, they could be in good shape.
Turner, good bump set. Hands and off of Billiter as El Nadi gets the kill after Demooney, the freshman, came off the bench to serve. She's been serving a little bit more. Serve and serve receive, always a storyline, Amy, but last week at UCF, and remember, BYU has been pretty bad on the road. Went and got 2 wins on the road, had 13 aces in one of those matches.
13, and that's not even to say ideally you just want to push teams out of system.
Now Kansas, that's one of the few things they don't actually do that well. They're 13th in the league in aces, yet they're the #1 offense, #1 dig team as well. Here's Whitney Bauer. What a career she has had. 109 and 21 as a starter for 5 years. Overpass. Kate Pryor, BYU, hot on offense, 4 for 4.
And you talk about Whitney Bauer and all those wins. 5 years, she's been a starter since she stepped on campus early at just a 17-year-old. And a lot of people don't know BYU volleyball without Whitney Bauer setting and running the show.
Blocked by BYU. Just a second dig by either team right there. Livingston, 2 for 2. We talk about hitting rotations. Let's tell you what they're good at and not good at in this game. Kansas in row 5, that is when Cameron Turner is middle front. They hit 321. Again, pretty good offense from Kansas generally. BYU's best is row 5 as well. Worst is row 2 when Whitney Bauer is middle back. Right now, BYU in row 1. Off the block for El Nadi. Aya El Nadi, the junior from Cairo, Egypt, a member of the Egyptian national team. BYU played the Egyptian national team over the summer, but El Nadi was not there with them. She was in Kansas working out with the Jayhawks. Otherwise, that'd be a fun storyline going into this one. Here's El Nadi right at Livingston. High for Livingston on the right side, and Aaron drank Michael's special sauce, and she goes OTT right there over the top, 3 for 3. Little extra juice in this one tonight?
I think it's really important. Both these teams have come out recognizing they've got big blocks in front of them, and they're swinging high. We've seen a lot of tools off the top of hands, and that time she just went right over them.
BYU 6 for 6 swinging, all from kills. Turner for Cooper. Cooper is a baller. Grad student, played her freshman year at Washington State, 3 years at Texas Tech. Didn't know if she wanted to keep playing volleyball with that kind of extra year. Went in the portal. It was a good fit with Kansas. Back from an ankle injury after missing 3 games. She had 17 kills at 5-16 on Wednesday. And the stuff out of the middle for the Jayhawks on Myers. First time BYU's been dug or blocked, and now 7 attempts.
Kansas knows that Livingston really that go-to player for BYU. They've zeroed in on her, especially in the blocking lane. She's always going to have somebody up in front of her.
On a banjo, Eden Bauer, perfect pass to her sister. Mia Lee rises up. She's 2 for 2. 7-5 Brigham Young.
And we talk at Mia Lee at 6 foot. You would say she's undersized, But because she touches close to 11 feet, there's nothing undersized about her. And so because going up against Kansas, who's both of their middles are 6'1", this is an opportunity for BYU to take advantage of that mismatch.
Look at Turner chuck it, but it's out. Bauer at 5'9", Turner at 5'8". Perhaps a little undersized, but these are two of the top, perhaps 20 setters in the country.
They really are. It's so fun to watch because of that aggression, that athleticism, and their ability to run an offense and get all of their hitters involved. These are two of the smartest, most athletic setters in the country.
It'll be fun to watch. This is for 9-5. Pryor off the block, and BYU on fire right now. 8 for 9. Only Livingston being blocked has slowed BYU down, and the Cougars up 4 now.
And if you want to look at a certain stat for BYU to see how things are going, you look at their offense and who is getting all of the kills. If it's only Livingston, then you worry a little bit because it's just hard to be so dominant on one side. If BYU can get both pins involved, specifically Kate Pryor, that's great for them as they look for openings in the block.
Free ball swing from Bauer, tied on the net. Just won by the 5'8" Cameron Turner. It's what setters do. You look at Turner going up against that big block, and she pushes last.
And she wasn't worried one bit.
She doesn't look worried at all. As a sophomore, she went to a Kansas camp and jumped in. I'm talking in high school. Jumped in with the team practice as there's a block put out and looked completely comfortable. That's when Ray Bouchard was like, oh, she would fit in nicely here.
Yeah, she's got it. Whatever it is, she's got it. And it really has been her whole career where the coaches have been trying to, she's so humble and works so hard, but letting her know, hey, you're really, really good.
She had the goal of playing for Kansas and setting for Kansas and being an All-American written in high school. It's actually in a chest in her house, and so it's always been her goal, and she is thriving as the Kansas setter now. It's been fun to watch her and to get to know, obviously, Kansas with BYU's entrance into the Big 12. Caroline Bien from Overland Park, Kansas, 2021 Big 12 Freshman of the Year, will serve it up. Tough pass from Eden Bauer, high for Aaron Livingston. In comes Burns on the pass, and that's just into the net from London Davis. Kansas hitting it well, also 5 for 10. BYU just a bit better, 9 for 11 at this point. Cougars by 4.
And that's what you want to see here in November. You should have a team playing at their peak, high-level volleyball. You have to earn every single point and be fantastic. And it's all the better for the spectators as well.
Whitney Bauer with the block, battered back over. High for Livingston, 4 for 6. We've seen Aaron go off sometimes. Clay Stanley, one of the greatest players in USA volleyball history, a Hall of Famer, 3-time Olympian, gold medalist. Unbelievable player. As McCumber got the dig for a second, but London Davis comes back. Stanley is the half-brother of Will and John Stanley, who have played and are playing at BYU. John Stanley still on the men's team. And their dad, John, was one of the all-time men's players in the club days in the 60s. Played in the Olympics as well for the United States. He is related to R.M. McCumber and the Haynes. It's an awesome family tree as Whitney Bauer gets the throw.
So when you are at, they talk about family reunion volleyball.
Oh, my
Their
gosh.
family reunion volleyball is no joke.
It's legit. There's Clay. Good to have him in the house. He was here in the spring for the men's team.
One of the best servers ever.
Oh, unbelievable.
Just
played at Hawaii like the heaviest ball ever. Yeah. Like if Thor served the ball, that's what it would have looked like. Bauer pops it up. Biller, free ball from Livingston. Kansas needs a point here to stay in this thing and not let BYU jump out too much. 13-8. Livingston dug up. And a nice skill from El Nadi, who's 3 for 4.
I think here is what the difference is going to be, both these teams. We saw BYU come out and jump quickly. It's because they were getting first ball kills. They were terminal. The longer the rally goes, it benefits Kansas because they're so good defensively and can move that ball around.
Dalton on the serve. Bauer. Livingston keeps it alive. Kansas with the chance to cut into this. One-handed dig from Hiapo. Livingston, lots of out of system, and still got that one to go. That's got to be frustrating for Kansas, who has done nothing wrong in the last couple of points, as we check in with Kenzie Daly, who was in the huddle.
Yeah, Jerem, Kansas coaching staff talked to their team about popping their digs up rather than just sticking their arms out on defense and getting over fast on the block to kind of take up a little bit more space for the BYU attackers. And lastly, working a little harder in transition to be able to take advantage of some of the seams that BYU is leaving on their block.
Ace by Whitney Bauer, 15-9. Whitney Bauer with 132 aces. Second in the rally era, just needs 6 more to pass Lauren Richard Evans. And we saw a moment ago, Dalton stuck out the arm for that dig. Didn't pop it up just like Kenzie was saying Ray Bouchard wants. 15-9 Turner, high tip. Well placed by El Nadi. How good is she? She had 8 kills in one of the 5th sets against Iowa State.
Right.
8! You played a 15!
In a 5th set. And El Nadi, you can see she just has great court awareness, and she has a very live arm and strong, so she's going to attack those corners, place those tips really, really well.
Pryor blocked in the middle of the court as Kansas gets another one on a banjo from Houston, Texas. Leads the team in blocks, had a great match hitting the ball. 8 kills on an errorless 11 swings on Wednesday against Baylor. 15-11. Ace! Back-to-back, and Kansas climbs back into it.
Well, and it's so interesting if you're watching, you feel the roller coaster aspect of when teams are hot and when they struggle, and credit Kansas for just sticking with it. Keep working hard. BYU started out really hot and have kind of calmed down a little bit.
Livingston handcuffed. Gets after it on the right side, but out. 3 in a row from the Jayhawks to cut the deficit to 2. Timeout BYU.
You're so much more likely to get to a Sweet 16.
13-1 at home for Kansas, 12-0 for BYU. Both just a little above 500 on the road. It is a big deal for both these teams tonight to get this win and then close out next week strong. That one just goes out.
But there's the example there. Coach Bouchard said, we need to miss more and we need to get after it. I'd take that miss.
Ooh, that
right?
was close,
6
yeah.
inches on the line. They're right back in this.
16-13. Livingston 5 for 10 into the middle of the net. Livingston is a senior as well, but has another year. She is coming back next year, which is some of the best news that I could have possibly delivered to any BYU fans.
And Livingston really has just been the core of this team's offense for the last 2 years. Keeps getting better and better.
Tough pass from Bauer. Livingston over to Eden Bauer. BYU way out of system. Kansas able to gobble these up, trying to transition. Reagan Cooper brings the hammer. She sprained her ankle, missed 3 matches, and during that time, she has online classes only. She went to rehab about 6 times a day, doing everything she could to get back. It was tough at Iowa State when they split in 5. If they have Reagan Cooper, you kind of like Kansas's chances there. And a big stuff to tie this game at 16.
Yeah, pretty impressive from Cooper. She was only out 10 days, and it was a pretty serious ankle sprain. She worked so hard to get back, and you love to see her bounce back with such an incredible performance against Baylor, a ranked team, just be that immediate impact.
Kansas with a chance to take the lead. Reagan Cooper, 3 for 4, and the Jayhawks have stormed back. BYU had absolute control of this baby, 15-10. Since then, 7-1 run by the Jayhawks. High for Pryor, who puts it away. BYU finally got a pass up to Whitney Bauer.
And BYU has to get that pass up to them because out of system, they have Livingston, obviously, but in general, they struggle to get that ball down. And so passing becomes so important for the Cougars.
And maybe the high of the pregame and senior night wears off, and now you settle in a little bit.
You can only ride emotions so long.
Bauer, Red Turner on the set over, and Cooper over and off the block, 18-17, Jayhawks. Now, everyone's heard the phrase rock chalk Jayhawk, right? For BYU fans that may not know what that is, there is a limestone quarry near campus and it gets chalky sometimes. So one of the phrases they would say associated with that was rock chalk, Jayhawk. So now you know.
Yeah.
Now you know. 18-18. This is part of your introduction to the Big 12.
The Kansas warm-up shirts had that phrase on there.
Absolutely.
So it's a thing.
It's a thing. Everybody's heard it. You know? Kansas, of course, ranked #1 in men's basketball. They've been awesome in football this year as well. Not too many are ranked in women's volleyball, football, and men's basketball. Kansas has been in that club for a little bit. Bauer again. McEwen Laranis off the block and out, just barely, of Myers. Really working in a phone booth there as we go back and forth.
And you can see the offense going pin to pin, very, very fast, putting a lot of pressure on Kansas. Myers, though, doing an excellent job to be involved in every single block.
Billiter laid off at the last second there. Bump set for Cooper. It does not matter. That was very slow and predictable, but Cooper has a heavy, heavy arm.
And she's really long. She's got this length and high contact, and so she's hitting over the top of the block. That's a bit of a mismatch there, being in the front row against the smaller blocker in Bauer.
19-19. Bien on the serve. Bauer to Bauer to Bauer. For the tip, 20-19 in a tight set one. We expect this one to go 4, maybe even 5, between two really good teams trying to get a big win.
And what you want to do is just be in the mix at the end of a set. So here we are, 5 points. It's kind of a mini sprint game.
Look at that from McCumber. One-handed set tipped over. McCumber calls for it. Bauer quickly to Livingston. Another tip, 21-19, 6 kills for Aaron in set 1.
Same spot, exactly. We had Eden Bauer attack that, and then
So there you see Cooper on the back row, Myers on the front left, McCumber there, Charity Bradley in the house. So they're all in the gym tonight. It's a Washington State reunion, really. Out of the timeout, El Nadi with the kill, 21-20. How many transfers has Washington State produced, by the way? It feels like a million talented players all over the country. That is a great program, having a tremendous year. BYU lost in Pullman earlier this year, but that's a quality loss because Washington State's good. Livingston on the inside seam. This is for the tie. Out. Onabanjo went for the deep corner in area 1.
Onabanjo touched that initial ball, turning it into a free ball, and then just missed that backcourt. That's a big critical point for BYU.
How about McCumber's decision to not pass that? We're talking about split-second decisions here. DeMooney, the freshman off the bench. Turner real quick, touched by Lee. Turner back set high for Davis off of DeMooney. 22-21. Kansas had to have that one. And Davis has been quiet. 2 for 6, but a big one right there.
And Katie Dalton into the match for Kansas, a serving specialist, one of the best servers on the team. This is time for her to really try to do some damage.
14 aces, third on the squad. Billiter pulls Bauer out. High for Livingston, has to slow up. Turner wins the joust at the net. It was tight and high, and it almost played into Turner's skill set. We are tied at 22.
I think you make a good point. Turner went up as if it's a joust. Mia Lee thought she was just hitting an overpass with no blocker.
Turner's like, let's dance. Tied on the net. Bauer pushed it over. High for Dalton, soft block, McCumber. Big point here for 23. Hiapo bats it back over. Turner. El Nadi, 23-22.
Oh, and what a smart shot, El Nadi. You could see that control that she has off.
In 4 years for an Idaho team.
Wow.
That's called winning. Tough pass out of the timeout. Oh, what a swing from Livingston at this juncture. Wow.
At this juncture, out of system, everyone knows where that ball's going. She's got a big double block in front of her. Not only keeps it in, but gets the kill. That is clutch right there from the senior.
Livingston with 7 kills, El Nadi with 6, Cooper with 5. We're seeing some great outside hitter play. El Nadi takes some off it. This is for set point. Inside of the block for her 8. And out come the Sharks for the Cougars.
2 huge critical kills. Livingston's been the go-to all year. And really in this gym, we haven't seen something this tight in a long time, and she came up big.
Whitney Bauer has an ace. Kansas got to have it. El Nadi is stuffed! And BYU wins set 1, 25-23.
What?
They do great work at Horsch Family Volleyball Arena. 12 of the 13 have been sellouts. Big-time sweep against Baylor on Wednesday. Heather Olmstead telling us this week, listen, what we have is special, but there are a lot of special venues in the Big 12 that we've discovered. They've gone on the road, and there's been a lot of big crowds, a lot of record crowds in the league this year. Houston and TCU and BYU notably earlier this year against Utah at 5,000 plus. Don't think we're setting the record tonight, but this is one of those crowds that's pushing 5K, which is special. Women's volleyball this year has taken multiple steps forward, highlighted by Nebraska, of course, playing at its football stadium. That was awesome. And we cannot wait for the NCAA tournament in a couple of weeks.
I think that's a good point. It's not just Big 12 venues. It's all venues across the country. Volleyball is on the rise.
Dig by Kansas, gets quiet. El Nadi. BYU in transition. Livingston. And Kansas into the net. BYU starts off 1-0 in set number 2.
And now obviously the physical battle is one back and forth, but now it's got to be an emotional one for both these teams. You've got to be able to stay consistent throughout the entire course of a set, because even one let up, right? It comes down to 1-2 points. That's it. So you've got to be consistently good.
And with these two teams at this level, 2 of the top 17 in the country, according to the coaches, perhaps 2 teams that could host the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament, you have got to bring it.
And I think you can make the argument that both could host. I mean, they're both very, very good. They've had good wins at the end. They've been consistent throughout the year.
This is Big 12 now on ESPN+, so we root for the Big 12. We hope they both do, absolutely. Texas, of course, will host. Let's check in with Kenzie, who was in the BYU huddle.
Yeah, Jerem, the one thing BYU talked about in between this set and the second set was that they need to be confident in serve receive. Kansas didn't miss a single serve in the first set, which to them shows that they were just trying to get it in. So they needed to go back and serve receive and be confident in the serves that they're getting to push them up to the net and get in system.
That is one thing to keep an eye on, is BYU's prowess as a serving team, as the Cougars are number 2 in the league in aces per set. And Kansas put on some decent pressure in that first set. Mia Lee off the block. 3-2. Lee was successful a couple of times early in set number 1. 3rd kill.
And I think that's a great point. Yes, BYU was able to come out with the win in that first set, but not because they were passing well. Those passes were way off the net, behind the 10-foot line. And that's where these teams want to push the offense. If you can get it behind the 10-foot line, it kind of levels the playing field.
Cooper. She's tough to stop, man. Feed Cooper. Did you watch Hanging with Mr. Cooper on TGIF back in the day?
I recognize the name, but I don't think I ever saw it.
It was awesome. Tonight we're hanging with Miss Cooper. Reagan, let's go. Rolette, Texas. 10th in kills per set in the league, as Caroline Bien gets the instruction from the bench. Caitlin Nielsen telling her which area to hit it into. And when it's at the libero, that's not where you wanted to go, probably, as Pryor goes out, though. So unforced error, and Kansas has the 4-3 lead in set 2. If you're just joining us, welcome. You missed a great first set. If you've been with us, you know how good it was. Number 17 Kansas, number 13 BYU, both tied for second in the Big 12 with 1 week left in the regular season. BYU up 1-0, 25-23 as that one goes wide from Pryor. Back-to-back errors. BYU calling for touch. So it stays with Kansas. Call confirmed of no touch. BYU down to 1 challenge. 5-3 Jayhawks. BYU won the first set by 2.
This is a tricky rotation for BYU to get out of. Not a lot of offense, and if the passing isn't there, it's time for Kansas to take control.
Yapo up to Bauer, back row attack from Aaron Livingston. Launches a missile. 10 kills already for Livingston.
And that outlet out of the back row, we saw Livingston throughout the course of the year. Sometimes she played 6 rotations, sometimes she didn't, but keeping her in allows her to be that back row outlet when maybe front row there aren't a lot of options.
I know Aaron Livingston, a huge Attack on Titan fan. Levi Ackerman-like energy there. If you know, you know. London Davis. Great finale, just came out a couple of weeks ago. Series finale, very emotional. 6-4 Jayhawks.
I think my son watches that as well.
Nice.
And would concur.
That's awesome. Burns, ace for Reagan Burns. Let's talk about her story, because Kennedy Ferris, the super senior, has been the primary libero the last 2 years. Well, Ferris is in nursing school, and she chose to focus on that. Still participates in practice about 50% of the time. Reagan Burns has come in as a true freshman and been the starting libero for this Kansas team. As McEwen Lernis goes out, and look at Kansas now double up. BYU timeout Cougars. Burns punched in the mouth recently. Oklahoma coming to town, but in volleyball, soccer, and cross country, BYU's been very successful competing. Oh, Burns keeping it alive. And tonight marks another one of those big matches for BYU in this league. Eden Bauer out. The errors continue to pile up. BYU 4 errors, 3 kills in this set.
Right, for BYU, obviously Livingston getting the job done, but Kate Pryor there on the right side hitting barely above 0. And Whitney Bauer with that swing hits negative, and BYU needs a change.
Elise Stoll comes in for Eden Bauer. Here's Burns. Tough serving from the freshman libero. Pryor, the end got the touch, but it goes out. BYU 12-0 at home, undefeated, so let's throw our trivia question out there. We'll answer it later. How many seasons have both the BYU men and women's volleyball teams gone undefeated at home in the same calendar year? The men did not lose in the winter. The women have not lost quite yet. How many times has that happened? We'll answer that a bit later. Billiter might have been going out, kept in by Bien, and that's a double by Turner. 2 in a row for BYU, 9-6 Jayhawks.
And we talked earlier, that's what it's got to come down to. BYU's offense all season long has not been the thing to get them going. Yes, it did well in that first set, but it's got to come down to the serve and pass and block for BYU.
El Nadi, my goodness, 7 for 11 for the Egyptian. She is fun to watch. All Big 12 rookie team a couple of years ago as a freshman. Last year led KU in kills, aces, and points. Part of the Egyptian national team. Dalton nearly gets the ace. Stoles for a swing, dug up by Burns. Turner high for El Nadi. She cannot be stopped right now.
And El Nadi's got a great story. She had reached out to Kansas, and so the coach was kind of watching her on tape with the Egyptian youth national team, and they're looking at her, and yeah, she's good, but she just looks way too small, and they decided, you know, she's way too small. We can't have her on the floor, and then they're like, no.
Elaine Michaelis court. Elaine in the house, by the way, tonight. Missed a couple of matches. Good to have her back. You're coached, the legend, and the namesake for this court. Down the line, look at Yapo flying over there to pass that. Stoll, big swing. BYU down 6.
Big swing, but you look at that, where Yapo had to go to pass that ball. The serve for Kansas really rolling. They're putting a lot of pressure on BYU, not with a lot of power, but placing those balls in seams, getting BYU to communicate, to kind of struggle to move their feet and get to the ball.
McCumber tickles the tape. Turner on the dump. Cameron Turner. #1 in assists and aggressive. Whitney Bauer as well. It's a fun matchup of 2 aggressive setters who will go on 2. You got to be ready. In row 5 here for Kansas. El Nadi. McEwen Lernis with the tip. Boy, soft blocks it in transition. Quick, but off the net for Livingston. Oh, what a dig by Dalton. El Nadi out of the back row. This one's tight. pushed over, and BYU into the net. Kansas up by a touchdown. Big news this week, by the way, for Kansas. Jalen Daniels, the quarterback who's been injured most of this year, announced he's coming back. Jason Bean's been awesome for the Jayhawks, but Daniels coming back is bad news for Big 12 defenses. Speaking of quarterbacks and setters.
And bad news.
And bad news. Kansas has really handcuffed BYU in serve. BYU not passing it well tonight. Kansas hasn't been great at aces per se, but they're getting it done. Livingston having a hard time here. Cooper with the tip, and another one. 7 for 8 for Reagan Cooper, and look at this lead by the Jayhawks. We have not seen this kind of score against BYU in this gym this year.
And the adjustment that Kansas made, going back behind the line, serving tough. BYU was so good in the first set because they were able to get first ball kills. They were in system and they got first ball. But when they struggle and then Kansas is able to utilize their defense and transition out of it, it has been all Jayhawks.
How does BYU respond? Can they give it back via the serve?
Well, this
Olmstead
would be
frustrated with Yapo there.
Exactly the time to do it, though. You've got to do it when Livingston's in the front row.
At least animated. Cooper tips. Bauer with the dump. She senses the moment, and when BYU needed it. Let's check in with Kenzie.
Yeah, Jeremy, in that timeout, the BYU coaching staff talked to their team about how when things aren't going their way, they pull into themselves a little. They talked about looking inward, really doing your job to lift the level for everyone on the court and be a little more assertive and confident. And what we just saw Whitney Bauer do shows the confidence that she usually plays with.
2 for 2 for Bauer. Thanks, Kenzie. And Cooper is blocked. That's the first time tonight. She's only been done twice. First block against Cooper, and BYU cuts into the deficit.
Same score from the first set, except now Kansas is up by 5. This is the point in the first set when Kansas made a run. Can BYU do it as well? This is the time. You got to make a move now.
Mia Lee 5th in the league in blocks per set. Davis with the tip. Nicely done with the beach roll shot.
And perfectly placed just over the block. London Davis has been very good on the right side, allowing Kansas to really set antenna to antenna, get their middles involved, utilize that offense.
Cougar crowd trying to summon the Cougars back. Molly Schultz off the bench, the senior from Rockford, Minnesota. Tipped way over by Whitney Bauer to the deep corner, and she gets it. We've seen that a few times, and Bauer being way more assertive on that front row. Row 6, she'll rotate into row 1 now and serve.
Can't get anything going offensively. I'll do it myself.
Call your own number. Jayhawks up 5. Turner won that. And Bauer, the standing back row attack. Turner. And double contact called.
I don't know that I call double contact.
Interesting call here. Turner's confused. Ray Bouchard getting an explanation from Robin Kershane. A double there is very interesting.
Well, I mean, I don't think that there was contact with the BYU block per se, but so that's a tricky call. Maybe they're thinking, yeah, I don't know.
Turner's front row, and luckily was able to fulfill that thanks to the homies. Don't ask me for tickets.
I was going to say, wow, you just opened a can of worms there.
Into the net.
That's a big play right there. And that's got to make Kansas frustrated.
And a yellow card given.
I think because the assistant coach, as an assistant coach, I couldn't be an assistant coach. You got to stay down and you can't interact. And that would be really tough to do.
Okay, so I believe it was it given to one of the assistant coaches?
Yeah, because he was off the bench.
Billy Ebel, perhaps.
Great coach in Billy Ebel, and understandably frustrated, felt like, hey, that's 2 calls that didn't go our way, and I want to let you know, but you've got to sit. It's a tough one.
A yellow is just like it is in soccer. It's just essentially a caution. Now, if you get another one, that's a point, and that's more serious, right? But that's basically, hey, sit down and be quiet.
And recognizing what a crucial point in this set.
Absolutely. You don't want BYU to climb back into
this.
Right,
and they might be the right calls, obviously, but it's just the timing of it and the momentum and everything on Kansas' side. You can understand why the emotion is there.
Totally. Livingston goes out. No touch. 17-13 Jayhawks, and Cameron Turner back to serve. Turner with 17 aces. Bouchard called her the heart and soul of the team, the leader, a Kansas kid from Topeka. Livingston has to reach for that one. Burns. High and inside for Cooper. Set over, but red, and then tipped down by Myers.
3 tips, 3 kills for Whitney Bauer. 3 different ways of doing it, showing she's got range and she's got a toolbox. She can tip all day and get kills.
You're right, it's not just a dump. There's the throw and there's the set over. 17-14. Can Kansas hold on to this? Big lead, as many as 8 in this set. Down to 3 now. And tie this thing up at 1 set apiece. Oh, Cooper into area 1 in the back corner. That was a heck of a shot, and BYU just had to watch it.
A beautiful swing. You love to see how she's able to use that physicality and that length to just go right over the top, control. Obviously, there's no defender there in the backcourt in that corner, but it's tough to develop that range that you can hit that over and over.
And Livingston's looking at it, but hoping it's out. It was not. It was BN. 18-14 Jayhawks. Pryor is blocked and down. 5 blocks for the Jayhawks. First in this set, and 19-14. You can breathe a little bit if you're KU here.
And Carolyn Bien is at 6 foot. Just such a great asset there in the backcourt because she's long and lean and can get to a lot of those passes and defensive plays.
Mia Lee settles things, 19-15. Kamile Hiapo, the Arizona transfer, 4 years there, as you see Lee, 3 for 5. Check that, 4 for 6. Hiapo, 4 years at Arizona, the 1 year here at BYU, essentially 4 months. Look at that set to Davis between the block. Cameron Turner just put that on a rope.
And Turner does that very, very well, just moving away from motion. Everything about that play is taking her one way, and she's going to shift that back. That opens up the whole rest of the court and puts it in a great spot.
Stoll. Tight for Pryor. Bien gets it up. El Nadi, 21-15, and Kansas running away with this one now. Again, BYU's only lost 3 sets, not matches, sets at home this year. Has not lost a match here. And 2 of those came in 1 match in a 5-setter against Texas Tech. Bauer gets out of the way, off the block, avoids the net. Turner, high for Davis, and pounds it. 22-15. Some BYU fans feeling like maybe the net was grazed on the bump there. I don't think so, though.
Great control, and watch Davis, that approach. So much power in the approach, in the arm. She's unloading. If you want to find the hot hitter, Davis has had 2 big swings. I'd keep getting the ball to her.
KU hitting 500. McEwen Laranis. 5 for 9. The super senior who a couple years ago entered the portal, decided to return to BYU. She's been a stellar middle blocker the last 2 years. Number 6 in the league in hitting percentage, 400 plus in 3 straight. Hannah Billiter has been BYU's best server. She's 6th in the conference in aces per set. They need something from her right now. El Nadi, way down 6. Stoll, oh, Bien. Wow, Burns. El Nadi is blocked. McEwen Laranis. And BYU with a little bit of hope, down 5 with 3 to go for Kansas.
And this is the time. BYU knows it. If you're going to make a run, it's got to be right here. Kansas so close to finishing off this second set and tying up this match.
Turner high for Davis, who's blocked. 22-18, BYU making it interesting here. Back to back.
And again, you see Laren is working so hard to move laterally and close down that seam.
Turner out at the 10-foot line. Another one! 3 in a row from McHugh and Laren. She's got all the height in her family. She's 6'3". Her husband is 5'3".
And watch how she moves so well.
Zoe Burgess is the daughter of Chris Burgess, who used to be a men's basketball assistant coach here at BYU. Great family, volleyball family. And for BYU, Blakely Bobick, daughter of Danny Bobick, who used to play basketball here as well with Danny Bauer. Out of the timeout, guess what? Another block, but it's dug up this time. Davis off the block for the point. 23-19. If you're a Monsters Inc. fan, this is the score for you. And Kansas finally gets past that block.
Kansas just passing with 2 passers, which puts a lot of pressure on them, but they've done a nice job to stay in system.
23-19, make it 20 as Dalton goes into the net. Crowd trying to summon the comeback from BYU. Cougars up a set, 25-23 in set 1. And here comes Aria McCumber, working on her second master's degree. Environmental science wasn't enough. She's getting an MBA, and it got her undergrad from Washington State in 3 years. El Nadi off the block, set point Kansas.
BYU was setting up that play to get a good double block there out on El Nadi. Everything went their way except El Nadi said, go ahead, get a double block. I'm going to use those hands out of bounds.
11 kills, that's a match high for Aya El Nadi, the junior from Egypt. Runway of 4 points here. 3 for the set, rather. Turner, Cooper, yep. Reagan Cooper, 9th kill, and Kansas responds with a 25-20 resounding set 2 win. And we'll see if these two teams are among them. BYU 14 in the RPI, Kansas 19 in the RPI. The RPI is an antiquated metric that I wish they would get rid of. If you've been watching the matches with me, you know I'm not a fan. They've created some awesome ones in men's basketball, women's basketball. They need to do it in volleyball. Set 3 underway. Tied at 1 set apiece. Great to have you with us. Jerem Jordan, Amy Gant, Kenzie Daly, and our crew in Provo. Erin Livingston picks up where she left off. So camera left is the winning side at the moment from the first 2 sets.
And I think the serve becomes so important for these teams. It's going to be interesting. You know, if you're watching something, where's that pass going? Are they able to pass to the net, or is it behind the 10-foot line?
Set over, read by Hiapo. McHugh and Laranis, good pop up by Dalton. Cooper, Livingston brought her shovel. Soft blocked. Turner back set for Davis at Hiapo, who somehow dug that. McHugh and Laranis with the tip. Turner bumps that off her knees. DeMooney with the dig. Livingston! Great rally and defense by both teams, and BYU terminates.
Crowd on their feet, respecting all the effort. Tremendous defensive plays on both sides of the floor. And whoever wins that set gets all the mojo that comes with it. That was a big, big point for BYU.
Cooper inside of the block. It happened so quick and tight, sometimes it's hard to know. She has only been stuffed once in 16 kills, now in double figures with 10.
And McHugh and Laren is moving laterally, is a little late getting there, trying to shut that down. It's tough to press over the net. A lot of times you get caught behind your head, and that's what happened there.
Livingston overpassed, retreats and has to pass that, now into it, blocked again. McHugh and Larenus on the right side, inside of the block. Cooper tight on the net. Net bouncing, but Kansas was the one that touched it. Let's check in with Kenzie, who chatted with Kansas head coach Ray Bouchard.
Yeah, Jeremy, I spoke with Coach Bouchard about the difference between sets 1 and 2, and he said his team just settled down in serve receive. They started to get better first contacts and put more pressure on BYU with their serve. Heading into set 3, he said they need to stay aggressive. They're playing a BYU team with a lot of firepower, so they don't want to be in long rallies with them because they will eventually have someone who will hit a heavy ball. So they like to continue to take aggressive swings early on.
That was epitomized by the play prior to that one. The long rally and Livingston able to get that one.
And that's really interesting because I feel like the longer the play goes, Kansas is the team.
Because of how good offensively?
Just because they can move it around a lot more. I think BYU kind of gets into the Livingston 4 times in a rally.
Still alive there. BYU kind of retreated like it was over. Aaron Livingston dug out by Burns. Kansas trying to steal one, and they do. BYU started to move into the huddle like that was over, and it was not.
There's a reason Kansas is the top defensive team in the conference. They're scrappy, and they don't let anything fall.
Great play by Kansas to stay with it right there. 3-3. Turner. Mia Lee, yep. 5 for 7 for the freshman from nearby Orem, Utah.
And BYU needs more of that. They continue to get the ball to Livingston over and over. She's going to get a little bit tired. They've got to be able to spread it around, and to do that, they've got to get passes up to the net.
26 of the 66 attacks from Aaron Livingston. Bauer, one-handed stab. This got to go over from Hiapo. Wow, Davis pounds it off of McCumber, and that one goes all the way back to her native Hawaii.
I think with Davis, if she has a seam in the block, that's what she's going to attack, and she's going to attack it with so much power. Even if you're there defensively like McCumber, that's really tough to get.
Tonight's attendance, 4,412. Have a great crowd here in Provo. Here's Bien. Pryor tries to avoid it. Lee. Great hustle from El Nadi to dive and try and get that one. BYU up 5-4. Critical set 3 here between these two teams. BYU lost that set. Just the 4th set lost all season at home. A rare, weird feeling for BYU here, but they know they're in a dogfight. El Nadi tip. Bauer, the waitress. Stoll cuts it, but out. BYU's rotated its second outside hitter multiple times. Claire Little unavailable with a foot injury. Eden Bauer got pulled from this match. Elise Stoll is the OH2 here. Burns at Livingston. Tip by Stoll. Set her out with Turner. Burns back over to Davis. Out.
And just out. But what a swing. It's so fun to watch Davis attack. Look at that approach. So much power. That looked so close. They might challenge that one.
I wonder if that was in. I would take another look. He got 2. No challenge here. It's Hiapo. Into the net for Kamaile. Another look at that play a moment ago. Was this in? Look how far back her arm is there. That's in. That was in. Bauer, McHugh and Larenus. 6 for 10 for Whitney, McHugh and Larenus. It's nepotistic if it's family, right? What is it if it's the same name as you? Is that a thing? Like Whitney to Whitney?
Whitney to
like,
Whitney.
Oh, you're a Whitney here. We're friends. Let's go.
I think that friendship needs to continue because you look at the middles for BYU. They are the ones hitting close to 500 and are the ones getting kills.
Stoll on the overpass. The middles, to your point, 9 for 15. with 2 errors.
Right.
Now, Ace Man is a tradition here at BYU if you're tuning in for the first time. He keeps track of the aces and overpass kills. That's volleyball IQ right there. Easy block there. That the Wi-Fi was not, it was just like 1 bar on that set right there. 9-6 Brigham Young. Hannah Billiter, a sophomore from McKinney, Texas. Another good serve. Turner back over, and the stuff by Stoll and McEwen Lareness. And BYU up 4 in set 3. Way to use the exclamation point, too, on that.
This would be the first. They have that opportunity.
This would be the first. But Kansas trying to end that trivia question, make it null and void. Stoll, deep corner. 11-6, a more fluent BYU offense. Now, not hitting a great percentage in set 2, but they've stormed out here in set 3.
Well, it's interesting how both these teams are really offensively kind of evening out. Same amount of kills, hitting right around 275. Both teams, this is very even.
El Nadi again, 12 kills on 20 swings.
And she's hitting close to 500. It's just been amazing. And to have that 1-2 punch, you know, you'd look and say, oh, good, El Nadi's in the backcourt. But then you're like, oh, no, Reagan Cooper's in the front. So BYU doesn't have a break.
It never
ends.
On the
pins.
No, KU puts the pressure on there. Tremendous. Back row to Erin Livingston. On a banjo was right there. Check that. Stoll cuts it again. She is really trying to go cross court and has missed a couple of times there. Found the deep corner a moment ago. 11-8.
That was a big point for Kansas as they are fighting their way back into this. BYU was up, but now you feel that momentum. The crowd's a little quieter. Kansas getting those 2 points in a row has quieted that run.
Livingston out of the back row. Got it to go.
And Erin Livingston taking 27 swings already here in this set. The closest one to them is Kate Pryor at 11. And so just always taking a heavy load. And she's used to it, obviously, but it's not something BYU wants. They want to even out that distribution.
And boom goes the dynamite by Reagan Cooper. Reagan Cooper, big time addition to this team this year, but as we mentioned, missed 3 matches with an ankle sprain, came back on Wednesday, dominated Baylor with 17 kills at 516, and tonight has been tremendous as well, hitting north of 500. BYU up 3, Kansas trying to get set 3 here. McEwen Lareness, McCumber doing the splits almost. Livingston to cut it to 2 here, off the block of Bauer. And Cooper gets another one.
And good blocking from Kansas. They didn't get a lot of stuff blocks in that situation, but the soft blocks turn those plays into free balls that they can turn around and transition for points.
Schultz from the line. Bauer. Livingston out. It is a 1-point set. BYU has 1 challenge, not looking to do it here. KU with 2 still. The senior Molly Schultz. Oh, look at that bounce. And then McCumber there. And wow, great read from Michaela Myers on the Bauer dump attempt. We are tied at 12, timeout BYU.
And I think obviously Kansas recognizing and Myers knowing when things aren't going BYU's way offensively, things you can call back to them later and say, hey, we got through this one, here's what we did. This is new. And Kansas in control.
This is new territory, absolutely. McEwen Lareness. Line was the only place she could go there.
And what a swing. Just threading that needle. Not a lot of line there.
And Schultz is like, ah!
You love Schultz stepping in there because everything in you says dive off the court to get away from it, and she puts
Coach,
her body
I thought
in
it was going over there. Why did you jump out of the way? No, she was like, let's go. Cooper again. 15 kills is a match high for Reagan Cooper, the super senior, Washington State. 3 years at Texas Tech and now doing work for Kansas.
And wow, what a different team Kansas is with her in the lineup.
Absolutely.
Having her work her way back in has just transformed the end of their season.
Livingston. Now, if Cooper had played against Iowa State, you think that they don't lose that 1 in 5 probably. Like, that's a safe assumption. Then they'd come into Provo, and the Jayhawks are the one in sole possession of second, and BYU would tie and have the tiebreaker, although there's no conference tournament. It doesn't really matter. Texas has already locked up the regular season. Bauer into the net. It's a big miss. 14s. But Kansas fighting through that. You have injuries. You have ineptitude at times. You got to fight through that, like you said, the adversity of that. And again, this feels like a second round, maybe Sweet 16 NCAA tournament type of skill level / intensity in this one tonight. Great to have you with us here on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. 14s in set 3. Lee dug up. Davis is blocked by Lee.
It becomes so important for BYU to seal that block together because Davis loves to go through a seam, and if that seam is shut down, she could get blocked, but that's a lot of work, especially for the middles, because Turner is going pin to pin, really utilizing that offense.
Here in Livingston, 10 aces in the last 4 matches. Make it 11. If you believe in announcer jinx, what else? I did the opposite of that, I suppose. You can't control that. Ace man lays the second one down. She had 5 in one of the matches at UCF, a career high.
You see that ball just barely clearing the tape and then the bottom dropping out of it.
Tim Wakefield loves it. High for Davis. Was there touch? No touch called. Couple of critical points here. 17-14 Brigham Young. No appeal from Kansas, but timeout.
Close. Good call, though. No touch.
No touching. So it made total sense that BYU was kind of in position to host there. And it's more cost effective that way. By the way, shout out to the BYU women's soccer team beating USC last night. They're playing in the Sweet 16 tomorrow night on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. And that one goes long out of the timeout. That's why you call a timeout to ice the server. Couple of subs for the Jayhawks. And Reagan Burns has had a couple of nice runs on the line. KU hoping for another one here. Power high for Pryor. Blocked, but out. That was close. How close? Because it didn't touch Pryor and it went just out. Wow. Again, KU has 2 challenges. If they thought it was close, they would have challenged that, I think. Yapo. Turner. El Nadi tipped, perfectly placed.
And you like that spot. It's not right over the blockers because that right back is kind of gearing up for that, but she's going to go just inside the block, and the off blocker wasn't there.
18-16, that's got to come over on the third contact there. Crushed by El Nadi. Sometimes the tip, sometimes full bore fastball. 18-17.
And these pins for Kansas just eating up this BYU defense. Both hitting 400.
Bauer's a back row attacker, and so wisely on a banjo, just smashed that ball and got Bauer in the air touching it. 18-18, 3 in a row by the Jayhawks. Dalton. Pryor between the block, 19-18, another tight set. BYU won the first by 2, Kansas won comfortably by 5 in set 2. And here we come to the end of set 3.
When Pryor keeps that ball in front of her, she contacts high. It is so tough to stop. But can BYU be consistent passing the ball up? You talk about Kansas and their game plan was to come out serving tough. They've done that.
Great tip again, BYU not gobbling those up right now. Everyone says they want to serve tough, but Kansas is actually doing it tonight.
I think it's
no
a fine
serving
line.
hypocrites.
Right, it's a fine line because you'll have coaches be like, serve aggressive, and then they get angry when you miss. And so it's,
what do you want?
Walking that line, you can't be out of control, but you've got to take risks.
Stoll tips. Bien, this one's back row to El Nadi. Bauer keeps it alive. Stoll with the chance. Soft block. Cooper thrown by Turner. Hiapo, Bauer. Stoll tips again. That's going to be dug up a lot. Oh, Bauer able to catch the kind of miss by it on a banjo. Bauer gobbling up everything right now. Gratuity of way more than 20% for Whitney Bauer. McEwen Lariness. And this crowd loves it.
The defensive effort on both sides of the floor. Whitney Bauer said, well, I'm not going to let one more tip fall. And then finally finishing it off, Elise Stoll tries, but Whitney Lariness gets that point. BYU the first to 20. Can they push 5 more points?
20-19. Rotations being checked right now. Selena Demouni, the true freshman, into the match. Cameron Turner coming over and having a question. This is all legal, legit questions. Could be gamesmanship, who knows? Slow down the serve, slow down the momentum after a long rally and the crowd gets into it.
Tie your shoe, wipe the floor.
Hey, got a little moisture over here. Like, whatever you need. BYU booing, saying, hey, let's go.
Well, where's this ball going to go if you're Kansas? Turner hasn't called her own number very often.
And Demouni goes long.
And that's 2 missed serves in a row for BYU, where Kansas maybe backs against the wall, needs this side out, and BYU just takes them off the hook, misses.
Iowa State just won at Houston. Houston in 4th place in the league. Iowa State in a tie with Kansas State right now at 9-7 in the league. McEwen Lariness. Is this over? It's pushed over! And Myers gets the point. 21-20, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Timeout BYU. That ball had to be pushed over, and Myers right there.
21. She's still a baby, but has made such an impact on this program.
Still can't rent a car. Livingston. How about Turner? Cooper. Reagan Cooper gives Kansas the 2-point lead.
Oh, and Cameron Turner, you touch the ball on the block and then have the wherewithal to turn around and dig it. That rarely happens because you get so turned around on where that is. Just showing what an incredible athlete she is.
Tough pass. Livingston. This is to go up 3 for Kansas. Hiapo yells as she makes that dig. Free ball from BYU. Almost going out. Cooper dug up by Livingston. BYU has a chance here. Turner high for Cooper off the net, and 23-20. KU putting the pedal down at the end of the set here. That's 4 in a row.
Kansas creating opportunities through amazing defensive effort and then converting those into kills with very smart transition swings.
Off the tape. Livingston, 23-20. She screams, let's go. 15 for Aaron.
Aaron Livingston has swung at the ball 41 times.
42 now. McEwen Lariness. Way down 2. KU trying to go up 2-1 here with 2 to go. Cooper, soft blocked. Bauer, Lee, popped up. Cooper. Billiter keeps it alive. This has a chance. Great hustle. Crowd into it. Turner sets over McCumber right there. Bauer, Livingston!
See that play right there just shows you never, ever, ever give up. Great job by Billiter. Everyone would think that ball would fall, and it turns around. BYU gets back within one.
2 in a row from BYU. Turner high for Cooper. Deep corner. What a shot. Set point, Kansas.
Kansas had charged the floor a little bit. The bench getting a little too excited.
Like, simmer down. Cameron Turner, the junior setter. Mia Lee, Burns. El Nadi, great hustle, but BYU gets it. Set point number 2.
The effort on both sides of the floor is just so fun to watch. Both these teams, great defenders. Look at this move, El Nadi trying to pop that up and just can't quite get it done.
And Whitney Bauer back at the line.
Look for this ball to go to Cooper. She's been so good on the outside.
El Nadi and serve receive, bumped across. Oh, great dig. Cooper, no one up, and KU wins set 3. The dig was right at the net, and Cooper was right there for her 19th kill. And Kansas has BYU. Overall, you know, you always play Pitt, Washington State, Texas. Those are some 3 pretty good teams as well. And the Cougars trying to finish out with a win, but they're going to have to win the next 2 to do so. Ray Bouchard's squad trying to get a big win here to pad that resume. And someone on the right side won a set, so it's not just the left side here. So that has been settled for you conspiracy theorists at home. El Nadi will start things. 14 kills, hitting 446 digs as well. Aaron Livingston, Burns, Cooper. Bauer with the throw. El Nadi there again. Bauer again. Dalton this time. Free ball from Cooper. Will Bauer go a 3rd time? Livingston off of Burns. But there are moments where you can tell Whitney Bauer's like, enough.
Yeah, exactly. Let's end this. And that was just the first point of this 4th set, and it took 4 different swings. It's clear that both these teams are requiring a high level from each other. You don't just give away points. You got to earn them.
Kansas #1 in the Big 12 in digs per set. Not just about offense. Mia Lee blocks the push. Here's Cooper. That's just into the net. 2-0 BYU. If you're just joining us, Kansas up 2-1 on BYU. Cougars had lost 3 sets all year at home. And they've now lost 2 more. And 2 in this gym for just the 2nd time all year. Texas Tech took BYU to 5. Every Jayhawk saying, nah, that was touchy.
Let's look at those outside hitters for Kansas right now, hitting 457 and 440. Both of them so good. El Nadi and Cooper just really, really smart, managing their game well and getting the job done.
Yeah, just George Brett-like stuff. Let's make a regional reference there. Let's go. 2-1 now as that gets reversed. So guess who's 2 for 2 on the challenges tonight? Ray Bouchard. 4-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. This game 4 times in 5 years, between 12 and 16. Mia Lee, 3-1. Mia Lee's 8 for 11. Livingston with 17, and a point we've made throughout the season is BYU needs another pin hitter to be kind of right there. It's McEwen, Lareness, and Lee both have 8 kills. 16 for 29 between those two in the middle.
And I think what I'm looking at more is the total attempts. You look at Erin Livingston, she has 45. Cooper and El Nadi, they're only at 25 and 35 attempts.
Yeah.
Livingston just taking a ton of swings.
It was good from Bauer. Cooper blocked for just the third time in 37 swings. And BYU up 4-1 in a must-have set. Pancakes. You more waffles or pancakes? What do you like more?
Waffles.
Okay, then never mind.
I can't pancake
Says
volleyball.
Says the middle blocker. Oh, Cooper. I mentioned the undefeated seasons. Your senior year, you went undefeated at home. What's it like to not lose at home all year?
I think that's fun. That's great.
Of course it is. Do you remember, like, just at home being like, yeah, we're not going to lose?
I think always being at home, you're a lot more comfortable. And obviously this crowd for BYU is just known throughout the country as being a very, very tough crowd to play for. And so you always feel a sense of comfort that the crowd is going to be there with you, and maybe they're going to help you by getting a couple more points. They're the seventh man on the floor.
Rowdy, rowdy rock. Roar of the Cougars, they call it. We need Dwayne Johnson one time just to be in the rock, and we just have like a melding of universes right there. 5-3 on the service error. BYU has had more service errors than normal tonight. That is number 8. Not a huge number in 4 sets, but 8 feels like a lot, especially when it's a float.
And at home, right?
At home.
BYU trying to get after it, and they're trying to just graze the top of the net, but to your point, they're hitting middle of the net.
Bauer one-handed, touched by KU. McEwen Lareness. Oh, look at Bien on the ground, diving, good effort. Point BYU 6-3. McEwen Lareness and Mia Lee both with 9 kills tonight.
And Bien is a player who plays front row. You know, she was freshman of the year, but she's such a talented defensive player as well that she's in there for the right back or for the right front.
You don't have outside / libero listed very often?
Yes,
that's what
she
Bien
is, exactly.
Yeah. El Nadi, she just knows when to tip, man. Like when it's popular now, people turn around their phone, they're like 20%, 25%. She's like, sure, every time, sure, 20%, you got it. Most of the time I'm like, skip. Not in a restaurant though, you know. Livingston is blocked and just out. Hiapo diving, but getting out of the way. 7-4. Livingston now with 18 kills. At Oklahoma in 3 sets, she had one of the all-time performances for BYU. 22 kills, hit over 700. It was the highest hitting percentage in BYU history of 20-plus kills in a match. Unbelievable. She's going to be all conference. Oh, what a stab by Billiter to keep it alive. And then Bauer actually gets to swing on 3 and goes out.
And it's all the missed opportunities right now for BYU where they're creating opportunities through defensive plays but can't finish it off. And that's something you can tell the coaching staff frustrated with because they recognize every little bit they've got to take advantage of because Kansas does not allow you many opportunities to score.
Oh, that was still alive, but it was hard for Anna Banjo to turn around and actually put that over. They got to the third contact there on the pinball. Check this out. So 1, 2, both accidental. Bien, as she's diving, goes off her leg, and then another leg. Oh, man, that would have been crazy. McEwen Lareness right up to the net by Dawn. Perfect pass. And that one goes up top and hits the ref, Brett Auberg.
And you talk about El Nadi knowing what to do and when to do it. You could see on that play, she kind of kicked it into high gear, recognizing there was a seam in the block. She sped up her approach and used that live arm to unload on that ball.
El Nadi trying to go 400 plus in both matches against ranked teams this week. How about that? Lee deep corner, but out.
I think that's a great point. You know, we've talked about it, but let's say it again, like 2 ranked teams. So they're playing on Wednesday, get on a flight Thursday.
Tough week.
And play another ranked team.
And KU is up 2-1. They're not saying, oh, we lost 0-3, it's hard, we're in Provo, no one wins there. Nope, up 2-1 right now, playing super tough. That set was a little higher for Cooper. Went tempo, but higher. And Turner just great location right now with Cooper.
I like the high set because then you can utilize all that length and athleticism. Get the ball high, allow Rick Cooper to go over that block, which has been so good against that mismatch. She's up there with Bauer, and so she can take advantage of that smaller blocker.
Ace for El Nadi. 24 aces to lead the team this season. And KU up 9-8.
And it doesn't feel like 9-8, right? You can feel BYU's energy is kind of low. Kansas stepping it into high gear, keeping that pressure on and the offense.
Livingston blocked. Was it going out? Livingston again. This time it's going to go out. Livingston. I'll just make sure here. 19 kills. At what point does BYU, if at all, start to get a little anxious, seize up the pressure? Oh my gosh, it's senior night. Oh my gosh, I don't want to lose on senior night. We haven't lost here. Like, when is that happening? Is it happening now?
I think if it was going to happen, it would have been 3 sets ago. And I think that first set, you recognize what you were in for.
Kate Pryor with the big stuff. Inside stuff with Ahmad Rashad. Let's go. 10-9.
I think right now, both these teams are realizing every single point is just a dogfight. You don't have time to look back. You don't have time to look forward. You've got to focus on what's in front of you.
Wow, Hiapo. Livingston off the net a bit. Dalton, high for Turner, walks into this. El Nadi just into the net. 11-9. El Nadi just the 4th error on 28 swings. Turner was so calm in that set. Like, just walked up like, yeah, I got it.
I love how
so
Turner
chill.
runs a game and creates an offense. She's so smooth.
Up at the net. And Bauer was back to play defense and was late to get up there.
And that's just a tough one in general also, because a lot of times you'll play it off the net if it bounces, but that one didn't. It just went straight down.
So you'll see Anna Banjo from Houston. What Bouchard says, she is a fiery competitor. She's going to be the face of this team in the future. Great energy. Bauer saves that. Still alive, but it hit Pryor twice. And there's that double. And Kansas takes the lead back. Check it, 11-11.
And there's the passing again for BYU, starting to break down a little bit, pushing that pass a little too tight to the net. Still have Livingston in the front row, so she's going to be that go-to. But look for Mia Lee if BYU can get a pass.
There's a pass, and there's Mia Lee. Hey, you should keep doing this volleyball thing. I think you're pretty good at it. What year is this, by the way, doing this for you?
What year?
Yeah.
How many years?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know it's a plethora.
It is a plethora.
And I know what plethora means.
And I don't know if does that make me look worse or better to say it's close to 25, I think.
25? That's
maybe
amazing.
23, 24.
Amy won't say it, but I'll say it. She did the Olympics. She's super legit, man. It's fun to sit next to you and watch these. Cooper. Pryor. El Nadi just into the net. That's back-to-back back row attacks into the net. And you actually, was it last year, had Kansas on ESPN? Princeton in the second round of the NCAA tournament to advance to the Sweet 16 in penalty kicks. There
Yikes.
you go. Good stuff. The regular season champs. Cooper out of the timeout, crushes it. Okay, you've been to Lawrence. You've seen a match in Horsch Family Volleyball Arena. What's it like for the BYU fans at KU to know? What do they need to know?
I think that venue is especially fun because it feels intimate as well. And they pack it, and they're loud, and they're informed fans, and they're great. And they almost beat Texas, who ended up winning a national championship that year. And so Kansas knows what it's like to play in front of a great crowd, and they're clearly not, I don't know, rattled in the least bit.
13s in set 4. KU up 2-1. Stoll cuts it again, but this one goes. 4 for 16 for Elise off the bench. 14-13 Brigham Young. BYU's not been in this position too many times all year. In fact, never trailed 2-1 at home. Led Texas Tech 2-1, and then Tech tied it up, and then they went to 5, and BYU won in 5. So unfamiliar territory. Automatic 24 kills for Reagan Cooper, who's coming up on what could be a stellar, well, it already is, but a record night for her. And here is Bien. Out of system again for BYU. Up at the net. Low for McEwen-Laranis, but gets it to go, 15-14. How about 41 kills from Cooper and El Nadi? Man, you read about it and then you see it and you're like, legit.
And it just doesn't let up. And it seems so easy as well. And especially when your outside hitters are those go-to players, you don't have to be in system.
Davis. Yapple flying in there, but too late. 8 for 17, London Davis.
And we've seen throughout this match that Kansas gets better and better as the match goes on, especially when they hit 20, they kick it into overdrive. So this is the time for BYU, a lot on the line. They've got to find some mojo.
Ace for Reagan Burns. Second of the night. Fourth for Kansas. Timeout BYU, down 16-15 in a must-have set. With 13 as a DS on the back row. Diapo has 11 for BYU. McCumber with 9. Bauer with 8. And Burns out of the timeout. The true freshman from Lafayette, Indiana. Had over 200 aces in high school. 16-15 Rock Chalk. Stoll blocked. Turner, Davis through the block, 17-15. And the Jayhawks are 8 points away from doing what nobody else has done in this gym.
And that transition game again, so strong, right? You get a touch on the block, turn it into a free ball, pass, set, kill.
Burns, tough serving. Bauer, McEwen-Laranis has to hang. Bien with the dig. El Nadi tip, Stoll right there. Bauer, McEwen-Laranis. Set her out, Burns, high for Davis. Davis with the tip, Bauer underneath. Stoll, Turner with the dig. Burns had the touch, now El Nadi. Bauer sets it over, and then El Nadi just pushes it down. 18-15.
And there's the stress that you feel. Bauer really struggling to get that ball, to get a kill, to fall for her team. The offense for BYU can't find a way to win.
Essentially set El Nadi there. Stoll blocked.
Well, she gets kills.
Right. Livingston, that did not go over. 19-15, Kansas in control. Let's check in with Kenzie about this moment. BYU certainly some real pressure here. Timeout to not lose on senior night. Heather Olmstead trying to implore her team.
Yeah, Jeremy, as you can see, Heather,
to make a run right here.
They will replay it, so there you go. Took me way too long to catch that, but there it is. 18-15, we will replay it.
I think this is a rough rotation for BYU, and so keeping that pressure on. Reagan Burns has done an excellent job serving, keeping her team in control.
But after the break, is it the same sort of fluidity?
And I think you want to really serve aggressively, but at this point it's got to be in. I think BYU is back on their heels. They're not feeling confident. You don't want to bail them out. Keep that pressure on.
So 18-15 Kansas. Tough pass. Yapo stole. Got it. That is clutch. And when you're only 4 for 19, It'd be easy to hesitate in that moment. 18-16.
That's a yellow light swing, right? You don't have the green light. You're not in your full approach. It's behind your head, but a really smart play from Stoll to hit it to that deep corner, and she gets a much-needed side out. BYU's close. They're within this, but they've got to make a run here.
Alyssa Erickson comes in. She had 20 aces last year. Not asked to serve too much this year, has 2 this season. Comes in cold off the bench. One of the toughest things that you could be asked to do. And has a good serve. El Nadi takes some off it. Erickson with the dig. McEwen Laranis, no touch. BYU swears their touch. They're going to challenge immediately. Stays with Kansas as we thought. And BYU is out of challenges unless they go to 5. Then they'd get 1. Right now, Kansas, who knows if they made the reservation already or not. Here to get out of here in the next 7 minutes. 19-16, Kansas up on BYU, trying to take down the Cougars on the road. Or can BYU push it to 5? Dalton. Billiter to Bauer. Livingston. Bauer back to Livingston. Out, untouched. And BYU does not have a challenge, even if they wanted to. 20-16, big miss by Livingston. Timeout BYU. Even if this is in, they can't challenge it. And to me, that's out and untouched by Dalton. Nice job to get out of it.
Have been the aggressors, and then couple that with the incredible defense and transition game they have. They've been really tough to score on.
You're hitting 161 in this set. Good pass up to Bauer. She dumps Dalton right there. Dalton's been underneath a lot. At least got the touch there. 2017. 5 kills for Bauer. This feels like a game where maybe Bauer needed 10 kills. Because it's not there for BYU in a couple of areas.
This is a fairly good scoring rotation for BYU, though. If they want to make a run, this
Overpass.
is the time.
Lee, yep. 2 in a row, 2018.
And what this comes back to, though, is that although this is a good scoring rotation and BYU can get that, they haven't been able to stop the offense for Kansas. And right now with Bauer in the front row, I think that block, get that ball to El Nadi, it's really easy for them to side out.
And that is out, 3 in a row. By the way, career high 11 kills for Mia Lee tonight. And just like that, it's 2019. This place got real quiet. It's not quiet now.
Which could have been just gutting for them, but they have bounced back and just kind of fought their way to keep this close. But I think everyone in the gym knows that El Nadi's going to get this set on the outside. Can BYU stop her?
Got 18 kills, hitting 394. No more timeouts for either team. Great serve. El Nadi, free ball on the tip. This is tight for Bauer. Just one, but into the net by Kansas. And we are tied at 20. 4 in a row from Brigham Young. And 2 unforced errors in the last 2 points.
And it all starts with the serve. What a location for McEwen Laranis. Just setting the stage. Kansas is on the defensive the whole time.
Turner, El Nadi, blocked by Lee. Will they go back there? Dalton is a setter as well. She tips, popped up high. Bauer, that's a double. Oh, that is a tough double there. Not saying she didn't, I'm saying the timing of the double for Whitney Bauer.
So a little too much spin on that play, and it's tricky. You hear the crowd booing. It's hard.
It's absolutely a double.
Have a double, but then you want to let them play. It's really tough for the ref.
Ooh, nearly an ace. The apple high for Livingston, and she hits the antenna. 22-20, 2 in a row by KU.
And you just have to wonder with Livingston swinging 53 times, you know, at this point in the match, is she tired? What does she have left in the tank?
Aya El Nadi. Bauer, Lee, dug up. Cooper in the front row.
Probably could argue that double.
Oh, Burns, what a dig. Turner, Cooper, dug up by Livingston. BYU needs it now. Oh, Livingston off the block and out. After El Nadi got the dig back up to the net.
This is some good volleyball right here. Terrific swing. Look at this up from El Nadi. And then BYU getting a much needed point to stay in this fourth set.
22-21 KU. Bauer. Cooper. Livingston for the tie. Still alive. Turner pushes over. Bauer. Back to Livingston. Tip. Cooper. Turner swipes it over. This is tied on the net. Reset. Cooper blocked but out. 23-21 Kansas. 2 points away for the Jayhawks.
And that was big. You can feel every swing just having opportunities. And now Kansas in great position with Cooper in the front row. They are in a terrific scoring position to finish off and win this match.
Schultz on the serve. Bauer. Livingston blocked but out. 23-22. 21 for Erin Livingston. 2 shy of a career high on her 59th swing.
Right, as she rotates to the back court. Not great for BYU to have her in the back row at the end of this set.
And BYU score in this rotation. Livingston goes long. Match point Kansas. Again, BYU has not lost a home match this year. All the Kansas fans on their feet.
This will be interesting. Do they go to the back row to Livingston?
Not on this set. Stoll tips. This is for the match. Cooper. Stoll at the net. Bauer. Stoll goes long, and that's it. Kansas takes down BYU on the road in 4. 25-22.
समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे, झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे, झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे। ना मिली मजा तो खूब गोरियाई रे, ना मिली मजा तो खूब गोरियाई रे। भतार तोर भतार तोर भतार तोर खाई रे, झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे। जैबे जो छोड़ के हमरा तन को ना गम्बा, पागल हो जाई तोरा भरम्बा, पागल हो जाई तोरा भरम्बा। जैबे जो छोड़ के हमरा तन को ना गम्बा, पागल हो जाई तोरा भरम्बा। तोरा जैसा ढेर हमरा मिली हार जाई रे, तोरा जैसा ढेर हमरा मिली हार जाई रे, तोरा जैसा ढेर हमरा मिली हार जाई रे। झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे, झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे। भतार तोर भतार तोर भतार तोर खाई रे,
म्यूजिक बाय सुकेश राय।
झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे। केतन भतार लगे बनबे पवित्र, जान जाई सब तोरा का पावे भीतर, जान जाई सब तोरा का पावे भीतर। केतन भतार लगे बनबे पवित्र, जान जाई सब तोरा का पावे भीतर। सुन जे बिहारी से ते करबे ना सगाई रे, सुन जे बिहारी से ते करबे ना सगाई रे। ज्योति सुकेश जी से करबे ना सगाई रे। झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे, झूठ समान तो भतार तोर खाई रे।
सत्यम रिकॉर्डिंग स्टूडियो खोरी पाकर।